indeed the hope of all mankind.
Prevent the use of the Philippines as advanced base operation by the American forces.
Upang makakuha ng mga staging area at mga supply base upang mapahusay ang operasyon laban sa Dutch East Indies at Guam.
Nanbo Senryu, Ctto, Nihon Hondo Sotto, Numano Rendrakusen o Gakoho Soro.
On 8 December 1941, Imperial Japanese bombers and fighters launched an unprovoked attack on U.S. airfields in the Philippines. Simultaneously, Japanese infantry landed at several key beaches in the main island of Luzon. This was but the first phase of Japan's plan to seize the Philippines and use its strategic harbor as intermediate staging bases for further aggression in the South Pacific. However, General Douglas MacArthur and the U.S. and Filipino forces in the island had prepared as best they could for just such an event. Over the next few weeks, they mounted determined defense in an effort to turn back the Japanese forces and upset their plans for further conquest.
Grandpa, I brought my friends here in Zambales. I can't wait to spend time with you here in Zambales, Grandpa.
Okay, everyone, please settle down. Take your seats. And I will bring them back during the round for you.
The Philippines is a large archipelago, in Southeast Asia located over 11,000 kilometers away from San Francisco, but just 3,000 kilometers from Japan. Lying between Japan and the South Pacific, the Philippines provided staging areas and supply bases for the Japanese to control the resource-laden Dutch East Indies, and also a bridge for the lines of supply and communication between Japanese homeland and its occupied territories. For the U.S., not only was the Philippines home to several important army bases at the time, but also served as the U.S. first line of defense against Japan planned for the Greater East Asia War during the World War II. In mid-1941, the United States of America sent General Douglas MacArthur in the Philippines to plan a defense for imminent coming of the Japanese.
In 1942, the majority of the troops were suffering from disease and starvation when they surrendered on April 9. They were forced to walk 65 miles under extreme tropical conditions with no provisions for food, water, shelter, and medicine. Those who could no longer go were beaten, shot, and beheaded by their Japanese captors.
Wait. Look here. Who is this General Mao? I've been hearing his names since
Big question here. Allow me to continue.
As the Japanese forces invaded, MacArthur moved his troops to Corregidor, then later on to Bataan, where American and Filipino troops fought fiercely. MacArthur forces defended Bataan for several months, but seeing imminent defeat, President Roosevelt ordered MacArthur to evacuate to Australia. He delivered his now famous speech.
Around March 1942, farmers from Tarlac, Pampanga, and Nueva Ecija formed a unified guerrilla army to fight for the Japanese amidst despair and chaos. And they called that group Iupunang Bayan Laban sa mga Hapon, Upalahap for short. And, of course, the members of that group were called the Hooks. There were, during that time, Luis and Castro were chosen to be the leader and the right-hand man, respectively. So there were 30,000 Hooks on their side. They were by far the biggest organization this year.
Here she comes, the love of my life. Beautiful woman during the occupation.
Really, Grandpa? Years later, since the liberation, you two are still together?
Indeed, our relationship stood strong over the time because we trust each other from then and now.
Lalita, please join us. Niyo ako, Lolo, and
A highly effective guerrilla campaign by Philippine resistance forces controlled 60% of the islands, mostly forested and mountainous area. MacArthur supplied them by submarine and sent reinforcements and officers. The Filipino populations remained generally loyal to the United States, partly because of the American guarantee of independence, because of the Japanese mistreatment of Filipinos after the surrender, and because the Japanese had pressed large numbers of Filipinos into work details and put young Filipino women into prostitutions.
After years of battle and bloodshed war, the Japanese officially and formally surrendered on September 2, 1945. The 23-minute ceremony ended the Pacific War, which had started in December 1941 when Pearl Harbor was banned. It also ended nearly 4 bitter years of Japanese occupation in the Philippines.
General Tomoyoki Yamakita.
General Douglas MacArthur. is my earliest hope, and indeed, the hope of all mankind. That from the solemn vocation, a better world shall emerge out of the blood and carnage of the past. A world dedicated to the fulfillment of the most wish for freedom, tolerance, and justice.
Oh, we are late in our Philippine-American relation class.
Let's go.
The subject of Japanese occupation and our relationship with America still evokes intense emotion in the Philippines today.
More than 8 years after the events, the War and Liberation campaigns,
The truthfulness of war heroics, non-payment of Philippine claims for rehabilitation, reparation of damage and loss of lives.
Non-recognition of Filipino veterans fought side by side by U.S. troops.
All tend to make the imminent coming and Japanese occupation a sensitive topic.
Stormy up to now, the controversy has been made even more painful with betrayal of trust and suppressed wartime experiences,
Such as the comfort women forced labor.
In one sense, the war in the Philippines has left an ambiguous legacy which leads to conflicting war memories and commemorations.
Particularly in the light of present conditions and evolving relationships with other countries involved.
Many controversial issues about the Second World War remain subject of debate. Among collaboration with the Japanese war responsibility, American responsibility, among others, for the failed defense of Philippines and others.
The Philippine-American relation, the Japanese occupation arrived with lessons, stories, and experiences that should be better understood, for the past to be viewed holistically in full perspective.